welcome to the Go Legal Yourself podcast. This show is about knowing the legal life cycle of your business. Welcome to the Go Legal Yourself podcast, episode 10, title, 5 Business Resolutions Every Entrepreneur Should Make for the New Year. I'm your host, Attorney Kelly Bagla, the Queen of Business Law. You can interact with us on social media at Go Legal Yourself, and do please find us on the web at golegalyourself.com. Well, it is the new year, and I have Moo in studio with me. Happy New Year, Moo.
Hi, Happy New Year.
It's 2018, and some of our audience out there are still running around trying to get things organized for this year. And the rest of them are trying to finish up their to-do list for 2017. Did you have a to-do list?
Oh, I did. Yeah.
And how far did you get?
I actually almost completed it all, but there's some big things that still need to get done.
I always use a to-do list. It's something about that satisfaction when you check it off, that item's done.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do the item first and then write it on the to-do list.
I've done that. I totally do that. Oh, my God.
And then check it off. And obviously you have to smile when you do that, right? Maybe
Like
a little
I accomplished
chuckle
that.
as well. Yes, yes.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea.
Exactly. And then, as you very well know, I have 3 dogs. I have a boxer, I have a pit lab mix, and I have a little wiener dog. Yes, the wiener dog came with the husband. Yeah. And so when I'm doing my to-do list, I actually talk to them about it. Well, today we did this. How do you feel? And yes, they look at me with those big eyes, and that's about it, really. They kind of smile and
give me a treat.
There you go. They take me to the treat drawer.
That's great for you, Kelly. Now where's my treat?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. So 2018 is here. It's time to get your plans in place. And how will this make our business owners more successful in 2018? So for our entrepreneurs out there, if they don't know how to start 2018 with a big bang, we have some tips for them. We have the 5 business resolutions that they really need to keep, especially in January. That's the perfect time for them to sit down and say, okay, it's time to refocus on my business and what is it that I'm going to do. So are you ready to discuss these 5 tips?
Absolutely, because I think some of them are a little tricky, and I think people get overwhelmed. You know, you can write it out. I think, first of all, you just have to write it down. You know what you need to do. But then when you start looking at the list, it's how you break it down. So it's digestible and it's achievable. You're not setting yourself up for immediate failure or, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yes. And you're right. I've mentioned this a couple of times, Moo. What's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time,
That's right? That's right.
But then again, we don't eat elephants here because we love elephants. We do love elephants. But going back to our entrepreneurs, I keep digressing. This is such an exciting year. We've got some major plans, that's for sure. Can't wait to share those with our audience. But for right now, it's about them, Moo. Let's focus on our audience. So the 5 tips that every business owner should really focus on, like right now, would be, the first one is having a dynamic business plan. Back in episode 2, Moo, I was discussing the importance of having a dynamic business plan, not just a plan. There are thousands of plans out there, but you really need to know as a business owner because 1, you don't have time to waste. 2, you don't have money to waste. So you've got to make sure that this dynamic business plan is a business plan that's going to work for your business. So that is tip number 1. Start off with a dynamic business plan. By the way, aren't we filling out our business plan?
We are, and I have to say, it is overwhelming. I mean, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of information that you have to research. So I can see why people postpone it, procrastinate it. It gets dragged out. We even have people we know very close to us who have dragged that out as well. So I think it's to suggest that maybe they take their little business plan out, recognize the importance of it, take it out for a little, like a business plan date, just they and their business plan, and really sit down and just by themselves in quiet space and devote that, couple hours just to go ahead and focus on that.
So as I was going through the month of December, and really focusing on the business plan for Go Legal Yourself, it really hit me that some of these sections are difficult, and a business owner that's going to see a business plan for the first time is absolutely going to be overwhelmed. So it occurred to me that, yes, we do hold a business plan workshop for our clients that actually purchase a business plan. I think what we need to start doing too is, one, we have the overall business plan workshop where we go through the entire plan. And then I think I'd like to break up the sections within the business plan and hold mini workshops there too. So that way, instead of you sitting at home being overwhelmed with a certain section, come to the workshop and we can all be overwhelmed together.
Share it together. Well, and there's certain parts like in the marketing research, it's overwhelming. Like some sections, I think, of the plan are come naturally for people. You can fill it out, you know, your product, you know, your messages. And then as you get deeper in, either into the financials or what your competition is, I think that's where the procrastination comes in because you don't know where to begin.
Exactly.
So that would be an awesome idea, though.
Yes, and I think that's one of the goals that we would like to implement for 2018.
Yeah.
For our
I think that'd be great.
Clients, for our audiences, for our business owners.
For us.
Definitely for us, yes.
And get some experts in.
Yes.
You know, those marketing research people, the financial people
that
can really
fantastic.
guide you and break it down so it's not so overwhelming. And that's what I mean by like breaking it down into little pieces where, like you said, eating the elephant in, you know, tiny little pieces. That's what you kind of have to do.
Correct. Absolutely. But I do recommend that you go back to episode 2 and review episode 2 because it really does break down why you need a dynamic business plan.
Yeah.
So tip number 2 is study leadership. I bet that probably threw you off. You weren't expecting me to say that.
I wasn't, but I think that's a really important thing because I think leadership means so many different things to different people and what that looks like.
As a business owner, whether you recognize it or not, you are a leader. You're leading your business somewhere. Eventually, you want to lead it to success. And that's what we're all about. Go Legal Yourself is about creating successful entrepreneurs.
Right.
Powerful, successful entrepreneurs.
Right.
So you do need leadership traits. You need to shake things up as a business owner. You need to get uncomfortable. And you need to learn fresh ways to build your organization. What do I mean by that? Well, there are so many seminars out there that you can take on leadership. You can pick up a book on leadership. You can Google leadership. But without leadership in an organization, Moo, you're destined to fail, simply put.
Absolutely. Well, and I think people can't see your vision or your passion. It's like going to a financial investor. If they don't see that you're a leader and passionate about what you want to sell, how is anyone else going to follow you? How are you going to get your employees to follow and see your vision and want to pursue it for you with passion?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So business owners out there, tip number 1 is have a dynamic business plan. Tip number 2 is study leadership. Huge. It's going to pay off and you're going to be so thankful that you actually invested that time in learning leadership traits.
Oh, and there's also amazing articles online in Forbes magazine. Think of the best top leaders in any industry and look at what their top 5 quotes are, what they, you know, Warren Buffett. There's amazing people out there that have really insightful advice that's not, you know, they weren't born with that either. They learned that over time through failure, through mistakes, and then gradually learned from those and became great leaders.
I think right now our audience can really relate to what you just said. They learned through failures.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, we need to do a show just on failures. And I promise you that is coming up in 2018.
That will be a really great show. That will, because so many people have done, but some people take it emotionally and it holds them back or they just give up. And then some people just ride out that roller coaster with perseverance and drive and understand that there is value in those failures that can just put them on the right path. And almost every successful leader that I've read about or read the biography about, they've all had that same failure rate, but they've looked at those failures and have learned massive lessons from it, and that's why they succeeded.
Absolutely. And when we're talking about failures, these failures can be small,
Yep.
And they hurt.
They all hurt.
Do you remember the little thorn in the lion's paw?
Yes.
I mean, it killed him. This massive, beautiful beast had a little thorn in his paw. So these failures can be as little as a thorn, or they can be massive as losing your business. But we will be talking about failures, that's for sure.
It's a great show.
Yes. So we have tip number 3.
Practice delegating.
Oh, there you go. Tip number 3. Thank you. I'm so glad you're on the show today.
You're welcome.
keep me focused, right? It is the new year. Come on. Oh, by the way, what did you do for New Year's?
I did about 7 or 8 loads of laundry.
Wow.
It was really exciting. I'm trying to set the bar really high for my son so that when he goes to college, he's only 15, but when he goes to college, he will be overwhelmed by the most mundane experience. He'll be like, wow, we used to do laundry. Is that not a tradition?
I love it. I love it.
Good times.
Yes. My husband and I and my dogs, we were all in bed by 8 p.m. It was incredible. And that was staying up for us too. So tip number 3, practice delegating. Well, what happens if you're by yourself? You're the only one. You're the CEO. You're the janitor. You are the bookkeeper. You're everything. How can you delegate some of these responsibilities?
That's really hard. I think, first of all, there's a couple of things. I think delegating it requires to release your control over certain situations. And you have to trust those people to, if you need help, you have to ask for it. Because when you don't, you're overwhelmed. Things start to fall apart. You can't do everything well by yourself, certainly as your business expands. So I think it's kind of reaching out for help, friends, family, and then just,
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. And sometimes when you're not in a position to delegate work, or you don't have the financial means to pay somebody to do the work, consider interns.
Yeah.
Many business owners, especially startups, they don't really consider interns at all.
Yeah.
They are a free resource for you. But when you do use an intern, you better make sure that you have an intern agreement with them. And we can always talk about that at a different episode. Maybe that one will be called How to Run Your Business for Free.
Oh, I think that's a great... Well, yeah, because they do
build your business for free.
Absolutely. I mean, there's also business students that are trying to learn different business aspects, and they can utilize that for their schooling as well and get credit for it.
Exactly. And that practicing delegating really goes hand in hand with leadership as well.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
Does. So definitely practice delegating. It can be a small thing, and then you can gradually graduate to a much larger release of duties. But initially, just practice a little bit. You have to start somewhere. Tip number 4, make faster decisions. If anybody knows me, they know that I make decisions just like that. I was going to click my fingers, but that would be really loud for the audience to hear. So when somebody says to me, Kelly, what do you think? Yes or no? It's yes or no. I never wait for the grass to grow. Why? I don't like wasting time. Time is precious, not just because I'm an attorney and I charge by the minute. No, I don't. But time is really precious, and it is for business owners as well. So make decisions faster. I'm not saying don't put any thought into it. Definitely put thought into it, but you have to. Don't sit on it. I bet you some of you out there are kicking yourselves right now because there was something that you could have done last year. Now it's been dragged into this year. Make faster decisions. What do you think about that, Moo?
Well, I think it's absolutely true, and I fail at this one completely. I have to research and dig into everything and think of every aspect of a decision. There's certain decisions I think are very easily made, that I am very snap decision like you are. I think there's certain things that I take a lot more time about financially, hiring somebody. Mm-hmm. I look into it a little bit deeper. And that can be good or bad. But I think ultimately it comes down to trusting your instinct.
It does.
And you're really good at that. And I think that's where I have an instinct that I don't always listen to. And then I'll research, and then I'll be like, oh, that's what I thought in the first place anyway. So I think that's something that we're not naturally gifted at.
No.
We were born that way. Yes. Okay. Somewhere. Some of us but I think we're all born with it, but I think we're learned to kind of shut it down or quiet it down. I think your inner instinct is very valuable, and it really does can make the difference between making a fast decision or something they're just delaying because you don't feel like it, or I don't know.
Exactly. And you're absolutely right. Business owners have different personalities. If everyone had the same personality as me, everybody would be successful right now. But that's not the case. So going back to personalities, when you do need to sit down and research like Moo, that's absolutely fine. Do that. But don't let it drag on for a month or 2 or 3 or 4. You're wasting time. Put a time limit to it. If you're a Moo type of person, put a time limit on it. If you're a me type of person, good for you. Tip number 5. Harness your resources. Technology has given us a gift, believe it or not. It's not always a bad thing. So there are so many resources out there that business owners don't know about. You don't have to recreate the wheel. That's what many business owners do, Moo. That's why it takes them so long to do one thing when it could have taken them literally 5 minutes to do. An example of technology is QuickBooks.
Great thing.
I hate numbers. Numbers and I don't get along.
They do.
That's why I went into law. So if you have a CPA or a bookkeeper or a friend that can show you how to use QuickBooks, you're not going to believe this. I used to sit there and I know my CPA is listening to this. I used to sit there and I had a Word document. So I would put in what the service was that I provided, and then I would tab over and I would put in the amount that I charged someone. So when it came to calculating all of this,
I don't even want to know how long. I can totally picture you doing this now.
Yes. And when I moved to QuickBooks, my CPA did such a happy dance. You should have seen him move. He was overjoyed.
I'm sure he was.
And it's so bloody easy now.
It's really easy.
So easy.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too, if you really suck at keeping time and scheduling, there are resources out there that you can purchase for pennies on the dollar, and it will do your scheduling for you.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by harness your resources. Make this year the year that's going to help you run your business a lot efficiently, smoother, faster. And at the end of the day, you're going to keep more money in your pocket than you are spending. Because take a second and think about it. What is your time worth? My time is worth $400 an hour. That's my time. What is your time worth? Think about that for a second, because you could take that time and put it towards building your business in a more productive manner that nobody else can do but you. So please.
And that's kind of like about delegating as well.
Yes.
Because there's a sense of like, if your time is $400 an hour, but you're spending 4 hours typing in one thing at a time for an invoice, you've got to be. That was Bella just walking by. Clickety clackety click. Have you heard toenails? That was not Kelly. That was dog Bella.
That was my Bella Boo. Yes.
There's that amount of time. If you could get somebody else or QuickBooks or whatever, at, like you said, pennies on the dollar, and that saves you. Look at it that way. You're saving yourself $400 an hour every time. So those kinds of things.
Exactly.
Yeah. And delegating out to people who also, there again, go back to delegation. That's your resources as well. If you can delegate someone who can handle your social media or this and that, and it's going to save you, all those hours during the day, it's worth it.
Again, business owners, you don't have time to waste. That's one luxury that you really don't have. You don't have time to waste. So I hope that you take these 5 tips and you really, really work hard at them and put them in practice. And if you have any questions, anyone that's listening to us, if you have any questions that you would like for me to address on the podcast, please leave us a message. Go to golegalyourself.com. Contact us through the contact page. Share your questions with us. I will be more than happy to answer those questions for you. And remember, the only way you become successful is if you make today the day you go legal yourself. I am Attorney Kelly Bagla, the Queen of Business Law, and it has been a pleasure being your host. Until next time, cheers to your success.